In this demo, we're going to upload personal spreadsheet data and then create a data module that will incorporate that spreadsheet data along with our corporate data. We'll take a look at how to set properties for reporting objects, how to create filters, and how to create joins between our reporting objects. We'll then test our model that we've created in the data module and take a look at the results. So let's start off by uploading a spreadsheet from our file system. Simply click Upload Files, navigate and select the file that you'd like to upload. And in this case, it's a spreadsheet that contains products that I'm responsible for. And then select Open. The file is uploaded, and you can preview the data that will be imported. You can deselect or select items that you want imported. And once you're satisfied with your selections, click OK. The file is imported into the My Content folder. And should you update the file on your file system, you can go here and select Update File to upload a new version of the file. Next, we're going to create a data module. Go to New, click Data Module, and then here you can select the sources. In this case, we want to select the file we just uploaded, myproducts.xlsx, and we also want to incorporate some of our corporate data. So we'll select Great Outdoors Warehouse, followed by Go Sales DW. Once we've selected the items that we want to pull from, click the Start button. At this point, we can search from our selected data sources, or we can do intent-based modeling, where we type key phrases and it will make recommendations for us, and we can choose to accept those proposals. In this case, though, we want to do this manually. So first we'll drag in the My Product spreadsheet. Then we'll want to take items from our corporate data. We want time information and sales information. There's a large list here, so we'll use the search feature. We found a time dimension, and we'll add that. And now we'll search on sales. And this is what we're interested in, our sales fact or sales measure data. So we'll drag that in. The next thing we'll want to do is go and verify our properties. So selecting any of these items, we can look at the properties and see if it's an identifier, what the aggregate setting is, and what the data type is. And there's also advanced features, such as adding screen tips or enable sorting. So looking at product line, product type, and product key, we can see they're all set as identifiers and are of data type integer. When we select product line, we also see that it's listed as an identifier and product type, as well as product. These are not the settings we want for these particular items. So we'll select all three items by holding the Shift key, and we'll change them to an attribute, and the aggregate setting will be none. And for these, the sorting will be set to on, and it will sort ascending. Now let's take a look at the time dimension. Here, several items have been brought in and identified as measures because of their integer data types, as seen here. But we really want these to be attributes. So using the Control key on the keyboard, we'll multi-select all these items that were identified as measures, and we'll change them to an attribute and set the aggregate to none. Also, there's multilingual data found in this particular time dimension. And since we'll only be using English for this scenario, we can select all of these items, shift-click the last item, right-click, and remove them. So now we have a more manageable time dimension. And the sales fact appears to be what we expect. The keys are integers, and the measures are identified as measures. We can also rename items to make them more user-friendly. So in this case, we'll just remove the XLSX. And for sales fact, we'll rename it to simply sales fact. Now we're going to add a filter onto our sales fact table by selecting the retailer site item, right-clicking and selecting filter. We'd like to filter down to just the two retailer sites that I'm responsible for. But in this case, we want to choose two distinct retailer locations. In this case, we'll select 5019 as well as 5025. and then we'll apply that filter. And if you look in the diagram, you'll now see a filter icon on the sales fact object. Now if we look at the diagram and shift things around, we'll see that sales fact has a relationship, as seen here, to the go time dimension. But my products does not have a relationship. So we're going to want to create the relationship. We'll simply select my products and sales fact by control clicking it, right click, and then select join. Under my products, we'll select the product key, which is what we want to join on, and do the same for sales fact. If we need to add more links to join these two items together, we can click the plus sign, but in this case we only need to join on product key. So to remove that link, we just click the minus icon, and if we want to remove the relationship altogether, we click the minus icon here. Now we can refresh the data and see that the join is on product key, and this is the data set preview that is returned based on that relationship. We also have to choose the join type that we want, and in this case, we always want to show all my products and only the matching rows in the sales fact table. So we'll select the second option. For cardinality, we see that the default selection is the one that we want, where each my product has one or more rows in the sales fact, so a one-to-many. And the filter join is designed to optimize queries, especially when going across two distinct data sources. So in this case, the default was to filter sales fact based on each unique item in my products. But since we are filtering on an integer value, we can actually do a range of products, which will make a more efficient filter in the SQL that is sent down to our corporate data structure. Now we can see we have a relationship between my products and sales fact. We can also change the view here and show the cardinality. So we can see one-to-many from each of the dimension items to our measure table. And if we select my products, for example, we can choose to reduce the degrees of separation. So going down to 1, we'll only have 1 degree of separation from my products to other objects it's related to. If we go up 1 level, we'll see that the time dimension shows up again. And there are more degrees of separations for larger models. Also, if you want to see the data that's in these items, you simply select one, and then you can preview that data in the table below. So now that we've done some modeling, let's click Try It to see what this data module looks like. We'll add product to our report, as well as the year, and we'll add sale total to the list as well. But we'd like to see this as a crosstab as opposed to a list. So we'll select current year and then pivot it to a crosstab. And then we can preview our report. And here we can see items that have sold over the years, which ones haven't sold. And in one particular case, Craig's Canteen, which hasn't sold at all. Again, this highlights the fact that the cardinality says to show all products regardless whether they had sales or not. So going back to our module, if you're satisfied, you can simply choose to save it. In this case, we'll save it to the My Content folder and save the data module as My Sales. When you go to My Content, you'll now see your spreadsheet is available here, and your new data module is also available.